Today we are making what is probably near the most perfect food that you can probably get to. It's a simple food and it has just about everything you want in a perfect food. It's also kind of known as an R.U.T.F, which stands for ready to use therapeutic food. This food is also similar to an R.U.T.F called plumpy nut. And plumpy nut was developed in the 1996, and it's a food that they give a lot of people in some of the African countries. Now, this food that we're going to be working on goes by a particular name called peanut butter eggnog. And this was invented by my father back in the 1950s when he was doing research on infant formula. Now, back in the 1950s, infant formula really did not exist, but my father was working as a scientist back in those days, trying to develop enzymes to break down some of the products in cow's milk that a baby could digest. But anyway, that's whole nother story. But anyway, he developed peanut butter eggnog to feed his children, and I was one of them who was more of a finicky eater. And I did do a video on a perfect food, and I can put the link of that video at the end of this video. So anyway, the ingredients for peanut butter eggnog consists of basically 3 cups of milk, a half a cup of peanut butter, 2 tablespoons sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla for flavor, and 2 eggs. Now, when I was growing up, we ate raw eggs all the time, never had any problems. In today's condition, I cannot recommend you to eat raw eggs. So I do have eggs right here. These eggs have been pasteurized. So I also have a video on how to pasteurize eggs, which will also be at the end of this video. So I'm taking my father's recipe and I'm going to times it by 4. And so I have 12 cups of milk here. We have 2 cups of peanut butter. And it's best if you use smooth peanut butter. All I had in my pantry was chunky peanut butter, so I'm going to have little chunks of peanuts floating around. But smooth peanut butter works best. I have a half a cup of sugar, and I know there's a lot of people out there that feel that sugar is a poison. I understand that. If you want to substitute this for something else like honey, that's fine. But in this case, I'm just using basic sugar. And I'm kind of reducing the vanilla a little bit. The vanilla is just in there as a flavor. My father would sometimes throw cocoa powder in there as an alternative. I can't have cocoa powder. Of course, I have the 8 eggs right here. All this is going to go into a blender. I don't have a blender big enough to throw this in all at once, and so I'm going to have to make this into 2 different batches. The plumpy nut, in my other video, the plumpy nut will not freeze dry. In the video I made showing plumpy nut, there's so much peanut butter and so much oil in plumpy nut, it will not freeze dry, but this recipe will freeze dry. And this recipe has tons of protein, lots of calcium. If you're a backpacker, mountain climber, if you go camping, if you're a survivalist, this stuff has about everything you need. The only thing it really doesn't have is vitamin C, but this is almost a perfect food as it is. It has tons of nutrition, and we will go through all the nutritional value at the end of this video. And so this is a great thing to eat. I drink this stuff every single day. And so I'm as healthy as can be, but my father had numerous degrees, and when he developed this, he knew what he was doing. Now, you're thinking about peanuts and peanut butter. Back in the 1940s, 1950s, we did not have the allergies, and And on the African continent, uh, peanut butter allergies did not really exist back in the 1950s like they do today. So if you have children, if you have friends, peanuts are an issue today when they were not an issue back in the 1950s. So unfortunately, if you have a member of the family that can't have peanuts, this may not be for you. We've kind of screwed up the food supply. We've kind of done things nowadays. I guess we haven't had kids go out and play in the manure as much as we used to back in the good old days. And so some people just have too many allergies and they can't handle peanuts. And so this may not be for you. But if you can handle the peanuts, this is a great food to have in your food storage, in your emergency survival kits, in your 72-hour kits. And so if you haven't tried this, just try it as a liquid first before you freeze dry it. It's not too bad, but anyway, I think you'll enjoy this. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and mix this up and get ready to freeze dry it and go from there. So this is our 4 times batch of peanut butter eggnog. So I had to mix this 3 times in my blender. So we're just mix this up to make sure that everything is mixed equally. And then we'll taste it. Just like the stuff Dad used to make. Now, unfortunately, the blender really made a lot of foam on top, but that should subside here in a moment. What we need to do, we need to divide this up into 4 for the 4 trays. Now, mine is a medium freeze dryer, so depending on the size of the freeze dryer you have, you'll have to divide this up accordingly or times the recipe however you see fit. So I have 4 4-cup measuring cups here, because I can easily get 4 cups into each of the Harvest Right trays. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and divide this equally. Oh, I have 4 cups here. I have 4 trays. I'm going to go ahead and put the trays in my freezer, pull them out just a little bit, and I'm going to pour this into the trays into my freezer, or you could do it directly into the Harvest Right freeze dryer. I like to pre-freeze all my food before I freeze dry it. And then I can put this into the Harvest Right freeze dryer. So that's the next step prior to freeze drying my eggnog. These are the results of the nutritional values of the peanut butter eggnog, starting with calories and going down to magnesium. Keep in mind that each serving size is 1.5 cups. The values of the nutritional values start with calories and go down to magnesium. The percentage values are recommended daily allowances. The great thing about this is there are no trans fats in peanut butter eggnogs. This is our eggnog straight out of the freeze dryer. So it is now nice and dry, nice and powdery, so I'm going to go ahead and crush this up, and we're going to go ahead and bag it up. Now, because this does have peanut butter, and peanut butter does have a certain amount of oil, I'm sure it'd be good just to bag it up in a normal Mylar bag or in a jar. But if you have the ability to vacuum pack this, I would strongly recommend vacuum pack this because it'll just last a lot longer. One other thing, if you have some children or grandchildren that might be some picky eaters, you might want to try giving this to them and see if they might like this as a supplement to their dietary needs. When I was a little kid, I was a very picky eater, and this is one of the reasons why my dad gave this to me, was to help supplement my nutritional needs, and it helped me quite a bit. So if you know of any picky eaters, you might want to try this peanut butter eggnog. And like I said, if you're a camper, hiker, if you do a lot of stuff outdoors, this might be a good idea, or this might be a good product to take with you. But I'd like to thank you for your time. I hope that this product may be beneficial to you. This is probably one of the best single foods you could probably have in your food storage inventory, so I hope you at least try it. And as always, please subscribe, make these videos possible, and as always, go forth and freeze dry the world.